Hey Clashers, I invited the rank 1 local player to show us exactly what the current meta looks like in builder base on offense and defense. Let's dive in with a couple of attacks he shared with us and let's try to identify what the meta is overall. On offense, we can see a couple of cannon cards, a giant, a P.E.K.K.A, and some hog gliders. On the defensive side, we see still those island bases to some degree, which means we always have a couple of isolated defenses which are in their own little compartments, and then we have the channel in between to really mess up the mass P.E.K.K.A spam attacks and just like try to mess up the path thing there. But I feel like the offense as well has adapted with like this attack being really surgical, using the cannon cards to dive into a certain part of the base, and then he has on the back end like a battle machine P.E.K.K.A dive kind of with the tank giant in there as well, and then for the back end some hog gliders. As well, if you're wondering at this point, it's why is the background looking just like this in this first stage? Well, the reason being that with this last update Supercell released, they kind of added the option to change the scenery within builder base. And how, like, what does this mean? Well, it pretty much switches up the background of the first and the second stage, so it's just swapping them. I don't know why they did that, but it kind of confused me in the first place. So if you still want to do that, you can maybe mess up some mind games with the attacker. I don't know if it's really helpful, but either way. Right now, what is he doing? 2 cannon cards at the top right side to try to burst down this Mega Tesla, because the Mega Tesla is a big threat to those ground attacks. With having pretty much always stacking having some troops stacking on top of each other, the really big lightning is a big threat to your attacks and to your troops in general, so really try to have always a good answer for that. And this defense was easily taken care of with those cannon cards. He as well invested 2 overall for 2 reasons. The first one is he wanted to burst through those defenses, through the hit points, and the next reason is if there's a push trap, it could only affect one of those 2 cannon cards. With this being said, he's up to the second stage, and I feel like right now the meta, when we talk about the defense in like overall builder base, it feels like stacking the most important defenses in the first stage feels a lot of times like the best answer. Because what this does is, if you can't get the first stage, you're already having a big deficit most of the time in trophies. When you're on your own, always get into the second stage, because making attackers mess up the first stage is such a crucial thing. Yes, the second stage then, which means if they reach that, the second stage is most of the time kind of like a given additional 3-star, but the few attackers which you can hold back to 2 or even 1 stars, those are the big game changers. So on this one, he's kind of just abusing the fact that there is not a single long-range archer tower. The multi-mortar or the lava launcher are just way off to the side, so he's now tanking both of those with his battle machine to make sure that the P.E.K.K.A, the cannon cards, the hog gliders all are just well protected. And at this point you can see already he does not even need to invest the last army camp. He can just wag an army camp like a pro. I mean, that's pretty, he is a pro, right? So like, this is pretty impressive, really nice first attack, and I think we should just dive straight into the second attack and see what other army compositions he's using, and if he's even switching things up at all, or if this is kind of like his go-to approach. With the next attack, we can see again a lot of cannon cards, but he has switched up a couple of the camps. First thing we can see is no hog gliders. As well, another thing which we can see, no giant, but instead now we see another P.E.K.K.A and we see a bomber. Now, how is he going to use that? Well, we're going to find that out in just a second, but I feel like the biggest reason why he's going with this combination is kinda the biggest damage within this base are always the double cannon. As soon as those double cannon are down, there's not that much damage anymore, and with this damage gone, he does not need the giant for tanking. This is why he can then bring the P.E.K.K.A, because the P.E.K.K.A is not as tanky as a giant with the ability, but it deals just more damage. With this being said, all double cannons are down at this point. The cannon cards already did an incredible job. He's just leaving them for now, because now it's the P.E.K.K.A time to shine. And what he's trying to do, well, the one P.E.K.K.A is trying to get towards the Mega Tesla, but it's just like getting push-trapped around. But the goal right now is kind of to take down this Mega Tesla. He did a great job of opening this core with this bomber, but unfortunately the one P.E.K.K.A which was supposed to join the other P.E.K.K.A in the core just got melted. But still, with the 3 bar ability of the battle machine, he can just easily overpower now the core, and with that being said, he's clearing the first stage without any issue whatsoever. So it's really clever damage managing from his side with like, okay, he really wants to make sure that the single target ground damage is gone, and now it's to the second stage, and this is where he's adding now the Hog Gliders, it seems like, to really make sure that he can overpower all of those firecrackers. Because remember, most people are using heavy defense in the first stage, like the Mega Tesla, the Expo, long-range defenses like the Archer Tower, etc. So this leaves the second stage kind of really vulnerable to a lot of other troops, like the cannon carts with their really long range. And as soon as you take down the cannons, what is left? It's only the firecrackers, and if you can then just overpower those with the Hog Gliders, you are having a really good time getting overall in the 6-star. At this point, he's just clearing the outside buildings, having the air hero as well working at the top side, and he still has a cannon cart left at this point. So he's saving the cannon cart if there's any traps on the outside, so he could replace possibly the cannon cart on the flanks, which at this point he does not need because there were no push traps. As well, you can see that the defender is twice the same person. A lot of times those top players are facing off against each other multiple times, so they kind of know as well over the time where the traps are. So this at this point is kind of where I really want to highlight that in a couple of days there should be a bidder-based tournament which I'm hosting at the moment. There's going to be like a highlight video, and you will see as well, I think, a lot of top bases, and I think a couple of fates as well, because out of those bases will be fresh and everything. That was going to be a blast. But for now, let's just take a look at another attack, and we have another base. This base, yet again, is kind of like a island base. That's kind of how I like to call them. How would you call them? I don't know, like, I would just say they're island bases, because take a look at that. We always have those isolated compartments where there's a couple of defenses in there, like the Archer Tower on the right side. On the top side we have Archer Tower and double cannon, and then we have those channel in the middle to really mess up the pathing and kind of forcing the attacker, if he wants to attack with ground, that he has to bring a bomber, which is already one less army camp. That's a really heavy investment of someone, and if you could just have one less Hog Glider camp, for example, that's already a big deal. But on this attack, I want to concentrate on something different, okay? I want to concentrate on something different, and this is kind of how you manage to take down the Mega Tesla, because this is kind of what a lot of people have to learn when they're playing P.E.K.K.A. and Builder Base, okay? So, with the cannon carts working, those are great again, but what we want to concentrate on this one is, as I said, how he's managing to really overpower the Mega Tesla. So what he does is he sends in an isolated giant, which looks kind of strange, but the reason why he's doing that is how the Mega Tesla works. It shoots a really, really powerful lightning towards the troop. And if there's another troop close by to the target, this lightning is going to chain to another troop. This only works once with the chain, but still, this would be 2 troops, which take a lot of damage. With putting the giant as isolated as he did, he made sure that the P.E.K.K.A. did not take any damage from the heavy-hitting defense which the Mega Tesla is. Really, really smart approach, and that's exactly how you should approach those Mega Tesla and kind of surgically make them useless to some degree. So that's a really, really smart approach. It's a really smart way on how you can approach those Mega Tesla. But now let's take a look at the next stage. At this point, again, it's kind of the same story as always. As soon as you're getting this first stage done, the second stage for those top players is pretty much a given in most cases, especially when they're going in with those P.E.K.K.A. and everything. So on this one, the multi-mortar is covering the right side. But this means the entire left and top side is completely vulnerable to any cannon carts whatsoever. And that's exactly what he does. Another thing which he does is, since at the bottom side there's a lot of point defense like the double cannon, which can still threaten possibly Hog Gliders or even his P.E.K.K.A. That's why he's trying to send in the air hero there to take that out. So he's trying to, again, pick off the damage which is important to his main army. And since he's using ground again, what is really important are cannons, multi-cannons, for example. So this stuff is all getting taken care of because it's somewhat exposed for the air hero again. That's kind of the approach. Cannon cart at the top, cannon cart on the left, and with that, He's going to take down just so much of the space that in the end again, it feels like there's only those firecrackers left. Yes, they're going to take down the air machine at some point, but it's just too late at this point. It's just too late. The base is already gone. He has still the 2 P.E.K.K.A, he said the Hog Glider, he has the Bomber. So it's kind of like a done deal at this point. He's just waiting for a couple of more traps coming up. There is now another cannon cart, which he hold back all the time, like all way. And now the remaining P.E.K.K.A just in with the Bomber, and this base is just done because take a look at that. There's now 3 firecrackers. Those are not going to defend versus P.E.K.K.A. That's not how it works. So overall, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Kind of like have a nice input on what the current meta looks like on offense and defense. And thank you so much to Bliplob for sharing a couple of his attacks. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys back tomorrow for the next video. Until then, as always, see you guys and bye-bye.